Hi, I'm Nathan from Believe the Hypo. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk to you today about was injecting rapid acting insulin before food. So this is something I'm going to be doing right now before lunch, and I wanted just to make sure that there was consistency around how much you give yourself, when to give yourself insulin, and the effects of it with the food. So I stick to, as many of you are aware via this website, a very low carb diet. This is to minimise the the roller coaster effects that carbohydrates have on our blood sugar levels. So the first thing I'm going to think about is what I'm eating, what I'm going to be doing later today, so exercise and so on, and I'm going to go to the gym probably in about 2 to 3 hours and do a weights and cardio session. So I don't need to give myself as much insulin because of that exercise as well, because that exercise will have an effect on my sensitivity of the insulin, and will actually, if I give myself too much insulin now, then it will have a greater effect because of how much exercise I'm doing later. Now, also I need to think about what I'm going to be eating. So I'm going to be having basically just a simple low carb sandwich. Now when I say a low carb sandwich, I mean the Aldi low carb bread, which is 5 grams of carbs per 2 slices, and then I'll just put that with something simple like a little bit of mayonnaise and some salad and some like a delicatessen meat like pastrami or something like that. So that would add up to roughly 6 to 7 grams of carbs. So the amount of insulin that I will need will be very, very small. Today I'm going to give myself half a unit of insulin, of rapid active, and that's Nova Rapid. So the next thing we want to be thinking about is where we're going to be injecting this insulin. Now, most doctors and endocrinologists and diabetes educators have a specific section which is around the midriff, the pelvic girdle, or also around sort of your top, I guess, thighs, and the back as well, in terms of your glutes. Now, the reality is you can pretty much put this anywhere. So you can put it into your shoulder, or you can put it into your belly, or you can put it into your glutes and your bum, or your thighs. But what will happen is that rapid acting insulin isn't instant. It goes through subcutaneous fats, which means that it's not going to be as quick as if a non-diabetic were to release the same type of insulin to cover that food. That is instant. This will take at least 15 minutes, and on average around probably 20 minutes to half an hour. So I'll be eating in about 15 minutes because this is a very small amount of carbs anyway. And obviously, as I said, I'm going to be doing exercise. So here we have the rapid acting insulin, and we have the needle. As soon as we put this on, I can choose where I want to put it. Now, to have this act faster, so basically, not through fat. I don't have a huge amount of fat on me anyway, but I'm going to be putting this into my thigh today because I want this to act relatively quickly, because I'm going to be eating relatively soon as well. So I need to prime the needle. So that means I just put 2 units and I squirt it into the sink. Now, you won't see this, but it basically just means I have primed the needle, so there's already insulin now in here. If you don't do that, there is a small chance that you won't get the same amount of insulin going in, which means if you're having a higher carbohydrate meal, your calculations could be out by a significant margin, which is not anything we want. So, half a unit. Today, I'll just pop it straight into my thigh. Now, you won't be able to see this, but here's my thigh down by here, and I'm just going to pop it into that. We all know how to inject, or most of us do, I guess. And as soon as you put it in, then it is count to 10 seconds. Now, it doesn't really matter if it's 10 or 5 or 15, as long as it's in there and as long as it starts to work, that's all that we really care about. So, there it is. Now, the other thing we want to do is we want to make sure this is completed and we don't use the same one again. Here in Australia, I'm on the Gold Coast, we don't need to use the same one twice. They are free, and we can use a different one every single time. So I would suggest doing that. And then with these, obviously, you can put them into any container, cover it, and then pop it into the actual refuse, your own bins and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now it is currently 10 to 1 in the afternoon. Around 1 o'clock then I'll have lunch, so I'll start making it now. It's pretty simple, but there are some variables we have to think about when we're obviously taking insulin. Most people for breakfast, lunch and dinner will take it 15 minutes to 30 minutes before. Now that is because this insulin has to start to have an effect on your body. It takes up to 2 hours, and that 2 hours is when the food will actually hit its maximum, but it's also when the insulin will probably hit its peak as well, which is good. But obviously be careful with it. If you're having much higher carb meals, which I would never suggest because of the effect on your body and your blood sugar levels, but if you are, just make sure that there will always be a degree of error and timing out depending on where you put the insulin as well, whether it's in the stomach and if there's a little bit more fat there, or in the thigh where it's more muscle. So just take that into consideration. Anyway, I hope you liked my first video. Please revisit us and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.